Welcome, it's Sakimoto24, and I've got the Goomer22 with me. This is the, week 3 PR video. Yeah, Goomer, you here?
Yeah. Hello, hello. Glad to be back.
I'm back with a Doug Bros Saki and Goomer PR special. For old time's sake. Got a lot of matches to go over, obviously. The same amount we do every week. Actually, we have one less to go over this than last week's, but a lot of things to cover, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of interesting stuff. It's been a while since I watched a lot of these, but I did watch them all, so hopefully I can comment on all of them. Well, I guess we'll hop into it and talk about the first match. You want to talk about this one, Goomer?
Sure. Yeah, we have the Sussex Sableyes versus Gumi and the Rolled Gold Pretzels. This match was really good. A little unfortunate for Sam. I liked the team he brought. He's got those the scary horses. I guess it's a little bit unfortunate that Bronzor maybe just doesn't get a bigger move pool or something easy like how Dusclops can just throw on Nightshade. If Bronzor got something like that, oh man, it would be nice. So because what happened is Sam had the set up the trick room with Bronzor. Now Gumi had that nice Vikavolt tech with room service, and Vikavolt put on so much pressure. As flash cannon for the Glacier, um, energy ball for the Mudsdale, or maybe just throw out a Bug Buzz against the Mudsdale. I'm not sure, but yeah, just Mudsdale had Bug Buzz and Bug Buzz against the Rapidash Galar as well. But basically, Vikavolt was just really threatening, and uh, unfortunately, Sam got into a position where he needed to protect the Mudsdale under Trick Room, and uh, because the Mudsdale was doing good damage, but the Vikavolt was underspeeding it, I believe, with room service. So while Trick Room was still up, he needed to KO the Vikavolt, which was very low health after a Rock Slide, and he could really only so he had to protect Mudsdale, attack with the Bronzor, went with a Gyro Ball, and it did like 0 damage to the Vikavolt. I mean, yeah, that's just unfortunate. If Bronzor had some move to KO the Vikavolt, it was in the red. I forget exactly what health, but that was really unfortunate. And then Gumi was able to just clean up outside of Trick Room, basically. Um, Game two, I think it was game two when the Mudsdale switched in on a Hyper Voice crit. That might have been game one even. Um, but I remember there was that one of the two games, the Mudsdale switched in on a Hyper Voice crit from the Sylveon, which then put it in range to die the next turn. And if it didn't get crit, I don't think it would be as threatened then. And um, yeah, I don't know. I think that was a little bit unfortunate for Sam as well. Um, but it came down to a really close end game, um, where the Roserade went for the Sludge Bomb on the Sylveon and it had the Kibia Berry to save it. Literally, like just Gumi just brought the perfect prep. It was just one of those games where everything lines up in your plan, and so Gumi had that Kibia Berry protecting it from the Roserade. And if he didn't, I think he loses that game too, if I remember.
Yeah, I remember thinking the same thing. I was like, I wonder how much this, because I was thinking like, wow, if they actually goes for the Sludge Bomb and the Roserade, like if this does a ton to that Sylveon, like this is actually a potential comeback, or and then he just like I was wondering how much it would actually do because Roserade hits hard, and then I saw the Key and I was like, wow, that was actually just so well timed, like it was perfect position for that Key to come out. Um, and I can't remember if it was which game it was, but yeah, I do remember that Mudsdale switching in, which it was really unfortunate because taking all that damage, like I remember they had I think it was the grass knot with the weakness policy that set it up. And under Trick Room, like a weakness policy Mudsdale can absolutely bop, but since it took all that damage up front, it was a lot easier to deal with. So, um, I don't want to say it was unfortunate for the stabilize. I don't want to say it was lucky by the pretzels, but it definitely helped him out. And yeah, I remember thinking that about the Bronzor. I was like, man, after that game, I was checking Bronzor calcs, and that thing gets no offense. Like its offensive stats are so low. But as a tank with Eviolite, it's absolutely a bulk monster.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's
just
probably a
no
little bit
offense.
better. Right, so it's probably a little bit better in Dynamax. It can just because it's got good supporting move pool for sure, but it's not going to be doing damage out there. And like Otto always says, you gotta have you know all your Pokemon doing damage in this format. Well, you don't have to, but it's I think it's really helpful. I think it's a good idea.
I agree. Just so if you have a support Pokemon out there, you can't just ignore him. Or your
Mm-hmm.
opponent can't just ignore him. I like thinking in that way as well. Um, but yeah, big win for the Pretzels. I agree. I like how they use the Vikavolt. I think Vikavolt's one of those Pokemon that's trying to represent the bugs, and it's got a massive special attack stat that's disgusting, and I think it's cool to see it used, and it was used really well, in a
Yeah.
simple but like extremely effective way. So, um, so yeah, the Saddle Squad goes down. Um, I guess we hop into the next game. This was Batista taking on Tyler or Somerville Scraggies, and I remember Batista saying this is one of he thinks maybe his most favorable matchup. Um, I think in this season,
Yeah.
for his Mono Dark team, and it is nice to not have to worry about Indeedee. Like just knowing that expanding force doesn't threaten you at all is really nice.
Yeah, that's true. Although Psychic Terrain does prevent Stab's Sucker Punch coming out from Batista's side, so that is a little bit unfortunate. And it sort of shuts down the Sableye utility. So there
Mm-hmm.
was still, I think, a need for the Psychic Terrain bring from Scraggies. So I get it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, and you can use that Indeedee defensively. I think it had Sash. Was it?
I think it was Scarf Dazzling Gleam.
Was it actually? Oh jeez, I must be thinking of something else.
Was it?
Um,
I, I know it had Dazzling Gleam. Um, for some reason, I think it was Scarf.
Now, if I remember this correctly, gosh, this is why I need to do like the PRs right after I watch the videos.
I know.
I feel like an
Yeah, there's
old
so many to
person
go
with my
through.
memory, but I remember the Mandibuzz coming in clutch at the end. Um,
Yeah, the
and
Mandibuzz. He didn't bring the Mandibuzz game one.
but I remember like I think game 3 he recognized that like Batista recognized. Okay, I'm gonna throw out the Malamar. I'm gonna throw out the Mandibuzz. And then just they're going to be super tanks, and they're just going to be so hard to get through. And like the Stoutland was thrown out, I forget what kind of moves. It was either a body slam or facade or something, maybe some Thunder Fangs. I don't know on the Mandibuzz, but it just wasn't doing much against an Iron defensive
Um,
Mandibuzz or against the Malamar. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking this correctly.
yep. So Stoutland had Play Rough actually.
Oh, that's what it was. I can't remember what he's
Right,
using.
but yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's basically what happened.
and it just like the Scraggies just didn't generate enough offense against that lead
I
and
agree.
because I mean, I
Yeah.
think he got like 6 superpowers off, and he was burned. The Malamar was burned, but it had 6 superpowers, so it was like still very defensive. And the Mandibuzz
Right.
just wasn't dying because it had Roost, and so
Mm-hmm.
that is just super hard to deal with. And when you don't have a way through, even if you finally make your way through those tanks, you're probably expending a lot of your own Pokemon's energy, and then
Yeah. I think what was interesting, I swear, maybe it was game two, I think. Or I swear there was one game when Drapion for a Night Slash into the Gengar, and it didn't get a crit, and it didn't even bring it to Sash.
no, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I was like, geez, like Gengar is frail, and that's a stab Night Slash, but like, I mean, Drapion, like, obviously with that sniper, it does big damage. But if it doesn't get that crit, even though it does a 50% chance, yeah, if it doesn't get that crit, it's really not doing a ton.
Yeah, I agree. The crit was this the Iron Defense Gigalith? Was that what was
Yes,
brought?
because because Batista, I remember Batista noted that it was odd against Pokemon, two Pokemon that are meant to crit, being that Urshifu and Drapion.
Yeah, I still actually like the Bring, to be honest, because I think
It's consistent damage over superpower because superpower you're going to lower your defense and attack.
and also, I mean, depending on what item you run and what sets the Urshifu is and the Gigalith is, like the Urshifu
Hmm.
could potentially one shot with the close combat. But if you go with the Iron Defense set, yeah, it can crit, but like with the Wicked Blow, but at least it's not OKOing you with close combat. So I think
Yeah, that's
maybe
true.
that was
Yeah.
part of it. And then I think I don't know. With the Drapion, the crit set, it's like, I mean, there's nothing you can. The crit set's
Well, the
annoying, but
body. I mean, the obviously the toxic was a really good bring for Batista with Mandibuzz, but as we saw with your game against Batista, the body press against Mandibuzz can be really nice because with Gigalith being slower, if the Mandibuzz roosts, it loses that flying type, and then the body press would become super effective. So,
yep,
um, yeah,
that is
I think
something
the
to keep.
mag it is. It's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, against the Mandibuzz. But wait, what are you gonna say about the Magmar?
I was gonna say the Magmar, like you said about not generating enough offense. I think the Magmar was a kind of an odd bring. So the first two games the Scraggies brought Indeedee, and then they swapped it out for the Magmar in Game Three, and I just think the Magmar didn't. I mean, it has good support with Will-O-Wisp, but I think the Scraggies needed to generate a little bit more offense up front, like you said. Um,
Yeah, I think
so
I mean Rabombi's they had a plan and it worked. It seemed like it worked really well. It seemed like he knew what his game plan was going to be. Um,
hmm.
and he said that was one of his best matchups, if not his best matchup this
I
season.
mean,
So it like
right.
I assume saying that he looked into a lot of details regarding the matchup and felt like he had an advantage. I don't think he would just say that, you know. So
Right. I mean, given that it was in his mind his most favorable matchup, I mean, props to Scraggy for taking game one then.
yeah, and I don't
So
know. Yeah, it was just really hard for the. I mean, it's just annoying with a Gengar and indeed, I mean, we both have Dazzling Gleam, which is nice, but still,
right.
um,
Yeah, no, that was a really interesting game. That was a good one to watch.
I think it was a good set overall. So there's probably other things we didn't touch on, but um, I guess we'll
Yeah,
hop
let's
into
jump into the next one. Yeah.
next set. Moi versus
Ooh,
this is the Danmere, the beer cup. Um,
this this was a solid game for the sauces.
yeah, I was really excited about this win, mainly because when I was first glancing at Dan's team, I just I was talking to him and he said he didn't like the matchup. I didn't really like my matchup. I think the matchup was somewhat fairly even. But when I was prepping for him, it just took me forever to come up with something that
Mm-hmm.
felt good. And I
Yeah.
think the main reason for that was the rain mode, just there was no way to make it work. Like, there was always something he could lead that would just destroy me, and the Rillaboom was such a problem, and I just not a good way to get rid of it. And so I had to come up. I just said I'm going to abandon rain altogether, um, and I'm going to rely on some of these other techs to carry me through. And I just got so lucky that like the things, and I guess I just want to talk about a couple of these sets because I got lucky because the things I prepped for, like I prepped for specific situations, and those situations ended up occurring for me, and that's why my prep seemed to be so like efficient in the matchup. Like
Yeah.
the
When
idea, what's that?
yeah, sorry. I was gonna say just when you prep for something and it like it kind of falls into your lap like that, that's that's huge in draft because um you've already got like the sort of the flow chart type scenarios in your head going on, and it just makes it a lot easier to play through. You have to think less. But yeah, yeah, go ahead.
And so I was gonna say is the Moltres set, which came in handy a lot. Like my idea was Bronzong looks really good into this team. Like Bronzong body press iron defense set looks like it could be an actual threatening Pokemon here and like an end game, like a win condition for me. Now, as far as protecting that Bronzong, I know like probably his most threatening special attacker is a Latios. So how do I deal with the Latios? Well, Moltres is a good matchup, but the problem with the Moltres is I had no way to generate like reliable speed control against Dan. So and the Moltres, I just like it. None of the calcs for a special Moltres or like was OHKOing anything. Like Fire Wrath with Life Orb was never OHKOing a Latios. Like Hurricane was never gonna OHKO an AV Rillaboom. So the the physical just made sense because if I didn't have time to set up and I didn't have any speed control, like reliable speed control, so the sucker punch just made sense for the Latios, just because I could do that in any scenario, whether Tailwind, Trick Room, whatever. And then the Brave Bird gave me an opportunity to OHKO the Rillaboom, if it was Assault Vest, which I assumed it could be.
I think it was AV though, wasn't it?
I think it was, and like I just didn't see any reason for Dan to run defense, like a lot of physical bulk on his Rillaboom. So I think the Brave Bird, the physical set made sense. And then the other part of that is, Bronzong looks pretty good, but if it gets knocked off by the Rillaboom, and the leftovers get knocked off, that's really bad for me. So my thought was, well, if I have Bronzong sitting out there and I have max speed Moltres with Brave Bird, the Rillaboom can never click knockoff into Bronzong because the Moltres will outspeed and OHKO with Brave Bird.
Right,
And that
right.
and that
Yeah,
scenario actually came about, which was very lucky that I ended up prepping for that situation and it actually occurred, like which doesn't happen very often. Um,
well, I think it's interesting too because especially when facing Rillabooms, a lot of people I feel like don't take the speed into account as much because you sort of assume that Rillaboom is mainly going to be playing with Fake Out and Grassy Glide, and it's kind of too messy to deal with trying to either underspeed it or outspeed it or just mess with the speed tiers around it. But yeah, when you're thinking about coverage moves, it can actually play into a factor.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean that's how I usually run Rillaboom is like no speed investment, for the most part. And so I don't know. So it just worked out really nicely. And then like the Gardevoir set, which really only worked against physical Pokemon and against Rillaboom because the Grassy Seed. Like I just got lucky
Yeah.
that I didn't even plan to lead that initially in the matchup, but I just thought Gardevoir would be nice to lead there. I don't know. I just had a feeling it'd be good, and then I led it against Rillaboom, two physical Mons, and then I had the Will-O-Wisp, and it just looked that game just looked really nice for Gardevoir. And then I got the lucky Moonblast on the switch in Latios, which was really, I mean, I didn't even really read that switch in. It was just kind of lucky. So um, that, yeah, I don't know. I like that the prep came together, and I did get
Right.
a lot of favorable plays my way.
Yeah, I think the Gardevoir Grassy Seed and not being threatened by Galurk Poltergeist, which was also really interesting. Um, I think there was also a time when I think it was after he switched in Latios. I'm not sure if it happened. I think it was in game two when when he switched in on that Moonblast and then he went for an attacking move. Um, and I don't think you had clicked Sucker Punch on Purloin. I think you had revealed Protect, Charm, and Thunderwave at that point.
No, I hadn't
And
revealed it yet.
knowing, but the tricky thing about that is I think Dan, which is probably a fair assumption, a lot of the time is that Purloin's going to be carrying Fake Out, which um, it is a very common move on it. Um, but yeah, after having seen those three moves, I think he sort of filled in the blank with Fake Out. But yeah, and then the fact that you had Sucker Punch really caught him off guard. So that was, um, that's really tough, I think, in draft when Pokemon run really typical moves and then somebody doesn't run one of those moves. I think it could be really tricky. Um, so
Yeah, and
yeah,
I just I got fortunate that like the moments when I revealed the sucker punch and the Moltres and the sucker punch and the Portland, which aren't all that common, I got a lot of value out of those plays. Like I revealed them and they got KOs. Like instead of revealing them like into like a protect and then he knows what I'm up to and then he can play around it. Like I got fortunate
yes,
that I was able to
yes,
reveal him and make a play and then he wasn't able to capitalize because like knowing my move sets he could have totally there's a big chance he could have played around it and things like that. So I really had to I really got fortunate that the plays worked when they happened. Um, but I don't know. I felt like the prep just came together, and I had the I liked the leads I went with, and
yeah.
it ended up working out. I prepped my butt off for the Arctovich. It's I don't know. That was just a weird matchup. Um,
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty. It seemed like a pretty interesting matchup because obviously you guys both had weather modes, and um, it and yeah, he has the Rillaboom to counter your rain, obviously, and whatnot, and Silvally can just be like any type, obviously, and so it seemed like a pretty odd matchup. Like I agree with you, is even in terms of the 11 Mons, but depending on which six each of you bring can really swing the matchup, I think. And so, yeah, you just happened to bring six that were good to his six, I think, and had some good prep, and it played out sort of like you planned. So that's uh, that's always nice when that happens.
it is nice. It paid off. I was freaking sweating my boots. I was
Yep.
sweating before that match. Let me tell you. Um, but yeah.
All right, let's jump to the next one.
Yeah. The Drowsy Dracozolt. Fall '02 to the Beantown Barnacles. I remember watching this because I think I was cooking and I was watching it in the kitchen. Uh, I wish I had like a TV in my kitchen that I could just cast like these games on and I could watch them while like I do stuff in the kitchen. I don't know. I was thinking about that. Anyway, um, what I remember is the Beantown Barnacles. They shut down. I think. What was this? Was this
The
the
imprisoned gorge
imprison?
guys. Yeah.
So yeah, the imprison was a big problem for the Snore, but at the same time, they also got a crit ice beam, and yeah, from what Theo said that very much mattered on I think on the Rotom fan, um, and depending what that
Yeah, because
Rotom fan
taking
goes for, I mean, air slash
yep.
or something that could be a whole
Yeah,
different
air slash
game.
would do potentially big damage in a gorge geist. Yeah. Um, so I
So
think that was yeah, that was these two games are the most probably one of the most like useful that I've seen for in prison. Like in prison really um hurt the Dracozols, and you could just tell like in every turn that was played out, it was like there was a ton of pressure because of that no trick room and no protect. Like it really just shut down the utility of Dracozolt teams. It seemed like.
yeah, it really did, and then you could tell. So I think what happened. I know there was a switch in for the Glaceon. I think he switched in the Altaria to take the flamethrower, game one, and then I think the Dracozolt tried to make the read in game two,
Yep.
and then he didn't end
Yep.
up switching, and it just kind of it hurt him. I mean, I totally respect the read because sometimes you got to go for it if you think it's your
Yeah.
out. So like I didn't necessarily think that was a bad play. I just think it didn't work out because the Theo didn't end up going for that switch. Um,
Yep.
and then
I think it was a little risky to have Poltergeist as your only attacking move on Gorgegeist though. Because I was thinking like especially in the game 2 end game where it was just Gorgegeist versus I think the Rotom. Um, like if the Rotom, let's say, had a berry or some other, item that gets consumed, I mean, the Gorge guys can't hit it. Like
Yeah,
really,
super
any
risky.
Pokemon, yeah, any Pokemon on the Dracozolt side that has some sort of item that gets consumed, Gorge guys wouldn't be able to hit it. But I mean, obviously, the Gorge guys was still threatening in that it was by staying out there. You have the knowledge that the Dracozolts can't ever protect. Um, so, and that's actually, that's a scenario where those few mons that get like detect or those weird moves like Spiky Shield or something like that, like come in real handy. And you might as well run like detect if you have the option to for scenarios like this.
Absolutely. I thought it was a really strange set by like and I noticed that late in the matchup. I was like, you know what, his only attacking move is Poltergeist, but like I don't know, it just seemed like that set was designed just for the imprison, really, and it worked really well. So like, can't say it's a bad set because it worked out really well.
Right. Right.
I still think the Dragozolts have an underrated team. I think there's a lot of stuff they can actually do. I think it was unfortunate that they ended up going with a heavy Trick Room lead game one. Got crit, couldn't set up the Trick Room. They just had a really bad turn one, game one.
Yeah, I think it would have been more interesting to see how that game one played out without the crit, but um, yeah, that's just how the game goes sometimes.
Yep. So yeah, I guess we'll move on to our next game, the Old English Ice Cube. 2-0. The Massachusetts Manatans, a couple of the league veterans, squaring off. Gert has been kind of on fire. Gert didn't play much of last season. He hopped in. I think when he hopped in last season late, he said he
You
was
did pretty well.
he was regretting not playing last season, and then he hopped in
Oh yeah.
and then I think he beat a couple undefeated teams, and then he was just on fire. And now Gert is showing how he's like I mean, he's just playing like really dominant Pokemon right now, I guess. Even though he had the blunder, even though he had the lightning rod blunder,
You know, yeah,
it wasn't too big
you
of a
called
blunder to be
blunder.
honest. But
It was I think it was a blunder in the sense that he didn't mean to do it, but it sort of helped, I think. Because in that scenario, well, I guess it would have been nice to nuzzle and paralyze the Celesteela, but
mm-hmm.
at the same time, Togedemaru probably wasn't going to be doing much damage to Celesteela with Nuzzle or Zen Headbutt. So he really did need the Cresselia to have the damage output to take it out. So boosting that Cresselia's damage really isn't a bad move.
Yeah, I don't think it was that bad. And I think even though you could say that he was like going for the hacks at the end, I don't think. I think it was it was the optimal out, and it was also like you
Yeah.
paralyze the Celesteela, and then you're going for Zen headbutts. That's a fairly viable strategy, I'd say. And it's not like he got four paras
Yeah.
or in a row or something. He got one flinch, I think, out of like the 4 or 5 headbutts he got. So I think that was props to Gert for knowing his way out in that scenario and going for it and getting it. It was very clutch. I think it was like the final turn, which he needed that flinch, and I think he got it. It was kind of hype, not gonna lie. I sort of felt bad for the Manitens though, because I was like, man, dude, you're so close. You got that defense drop. You just needed like one crit or something. Like it was just within his grasp. I know that was game 2. Game 1, I can't exactly remember what happened.
I can't remember either. I remember the Galvantula went for a discharge. Um,
The Galvantula was kind of a
to
beast.
avoid, using that discharge on your own Togedemaru and avoiding the Seeking's redirection with Lightning Rod is really really nice. So that was a good move.
I feel like there was
Yeah, I
I feel
agree.
like there was a crit thunder somewhere.
No, I think the Galvantula, I think it thundered against the Thunderous when it switched in, and I think it OHKO'd or something like
I
that.
think it was a crit. Yeah.
Was it a crit though? It
I
might have
think it
been.
was a crit Oko. I can't remember. I think it was.
You might be right.
I think it was.
You might
Because
be
I don't
right.
think
No,
Galvantula's
that
that
wasn't.
strong.
No, that must have been game two because Galbancho didn't have a kill game one.
Hmm. All right. Well, our games are blended together, but it's all the same match. So
But overall, what I do remember is that Gert was playing pretty well, and it seemed like he had a game plan and was executing it. Um, and yeah, the Mantans definitely felt like they were on the back foot um, for most of the game.
but at the same time, I do think the Manatees have a strong team. I think anybody with Celesteela can find a way out, and they almost had it, to be honest, except for the flinch. So
Yeah, I mean, I was still very surprised at how little uh, damage that Celesteela was, or that Cresselia was taking from a +4 Celesteela. I
yeah,
was just like,
yep, Cresselia is
I,
beefy.
I mean, I know Cresselia is bulky, but like, wow, that was kind of eye opening for me. I was like, wow, this Cresselia is a beefcake.
It's kind of a menace, especially here in Series 10. I know Gert drafted it. I can see
Yep.
why now at least.
Oh yeah.
So good win. Uh, our next match, well, I guess, well, the Welsh Warlords and the Trixie Trichos have not played yet. Um, and they're just
Nope.
their match is delayed, so it will affect the PR a little bit. It's kind of skewed because of that, because we can't properly rank them right now. But yeah, I guess
Should be interesting though. Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. I don't see a clear matchup advantage for either of them.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait on that one. Next one, you want to talk about this one?
Yes, my match against the Royal Kingdras. Um, so this one, sort of my game plan going in was that Orbeetle just looked good pretty much against his whole team besides Pelipper. And so um, Orbeetle kind of had two functions. One, it outstalls Registeel in any scenario because Registeel's body presses do like no damage to double resisted Orbeetle, but Iron Defense body press Orbeetle hits Registeel for super effective. So in theory, if we both get to +6 Iron Defense, I'll be doing plenty of damage against a Registeel, and he'll be doing none against me. That was the theory behind it. And then besides that, Struggle Bug is just kind of annoying on the special side to lower that special attack output and kind of help the rest of my team do damage. But the problem was I a little bit underestimated the offensive pressure of the Scrafty in this matchup, especially with Roselli Berry and being able to tank the Ninetales' Dazzling Gleams. Um, so that was a little bit of oversight on my part, I think. There was an unfortunate Rock Slide crit, or not. Sorry, not Rock Slide crit. A Rock Slide flinch on Ninetales um, in game one. However, if if your opponent is outspeeding you and getting rock slides off, that is like that you are bound to get a flinch every now and then. So it may be a better game plan on my part instead of trying to just stall out Trick Room with Orbeetle. Maybe a better game plan would have just been trying to prevent Trick Room. I don't know. Um, but the other issue was with the hail chip and with leftovers on Registeel and Orbeetle. Um, the turns just took so long, which actually that mattered more in game two. But in game one, it actually came down to an end game of Orbeetle versus Registeel and Pelipper, and there was one turn of Trick Room left, and I went for the Struggle Bug, and which would have reduced the Pelipper's output because I was scared of the Pelipper Hurricanes, even though I was pretty specially defensive, and Pelipper um, got the Hurricane off, did about half, but Registeel, which did end up picking up the KO, but it wouldn't have if Registeel did not get a crit body press. So Registeel went for the crit body press and or went for the body press, got a crit through I think it was +4 at that point maybe. But yeah, so that put me in range of the Pelipper's Hurricane. But without that, I would have had the Struggle Bug off, and then Trick Room would have been over. I would have been able to recover, and then potentially just start body pressing the Pelipper. It still doesn't look like a great end game for me because he can double target me. He still has the option to get crits and confusions with the Hurricane. But at -1, the Hurricanes wouldn't be doing too much, and the body presses would be doing pretty negligible damage. So there was still an out for me basically if he hadn't gotten that crit with the Registeel. But that also again is the risk of playing a setup game. So again, maybe some risky prep on my part. Um, so then game two, um, it was also unfortunate because knowing um, that the Registeel was setting up and stuff, and the Scrafty was pretty offensive. I had the Zapdos this game to be a Scrafty answer, and I was just going to take it out with a Brave Bird. Um, I think there was a quick guarding turn one was probably a misplay. I should have just um, I should have just double attacked with both my Pokemon. Um, but regardless, then turn two, I went for the Brave Bird, and I got flinched again on the rock slide by the Scrafty. So that was also pretty unfortunate because getting that Scrafty out of the way just would have helped with preventing the switching on his side. And then, um, because if I can just pick up some quick KOs, then the Orbeetle can start really putting on the pressure with the body presses and whatnot. And so that was kind of the idea. Also, Hydreigon was really only threatened by the Scrafty. So that was, or well, if Registeel set up, it was, I guess, threatened by it. But yeah, just off the bat, the Scrafty really threatened Hydreigon, so I needed to get rid of it. But then having flinched, I had to bring in Hydreigon under Trick Room while Scrafty was, or actually, I think I had to switch in the Hydreigon end up later. But regardless, yeah, that flinch on the Zapdos was unfortunate. But yeah, this game it came down to an end game of Reuniclus and Registeel versus Orbeetle, and in infinite time, I would have the game, but unfortunately, there is a timer, and so I didn't necessarily take that into account. So, like I said, the hail chip, the leftovers for both of us, it just made the turns last so long. The timer stall was a lot easier to do. And yeah, like Struggle Bug wasn't doing that much damage in the Reuniclus, so it was going to be harder to take it out as quickly. So I was going for the crit body presses on Registeel, and I made a little bit of a misplay in the end game by not going for the crits and just setting up one more Iron Defense. I should have just kept going for body press into Registeel and hope for a crit. But yeah, once I went for the Iron Defense, then I only had one more turn, and he double protected and got the timer win there. So.
Yeah, that was the
So
play. That was the right play to make. Yeah.
yeah, no, it was. I should have kept going for crits, but yeah, unfortunately, did take a loss here. I think I think the Kingdras were 0-2 before this, but like, you know, I think they were playing fairly well.
They weren't playing like an
So
0-2. They were playing like a 2-0 team.
right, I think they were actually playing fairly well, and they do kind of have a weird team, um, but they yeah, they got me with the Registall. Um, so props to them, and yeah, I'll have to give them a better match, I guess, if I get to face them again.
I did, because I remember you talking about the Orbeetle against them in your prep. I just thought, man, that thing looks unbeatable. If you can just avoid that Pelipper, get a Struggle Bug, like it looks unbeatable. But I mean, after watching the match, there's definitely things that could have been accounted for. Like, I think those flinches really hurt you, but at the same time, you can't have a game plan that like assumes you're not going to get flinched by rock slides. So, and like if that's riding, if your game plan is riding on that, which I don't think you planned it that way, but that's how it happened. Like if you're riding on that, that's too much, and your game plan shouldn't ride on that.
Right.
And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and I
No, no,
think
yeah.
and you like you said, and I didn't even think about this either. You didn't account for, well, if I get this Orbeetle set up and it's not doing enough damage, like I'm just not putting enough offensive pressure on, and then he can just run down the clock on my Orbeetle, and that's something I didn't even think about. So if the Kingdras kind of had the foresight to see that as an out for them and see that match play out, then that's props to them. It was really nice, really really well played. Um, and yeah, this is also the first. This is the first season of Pokemon where I realized that like the hail chips and the grassy terrain recoveries and the leftovers and all this stuff, that stuff runs down the clock significantly. And I didn't
Oh yeah.
like I never took that into account when making game plans or playing. I don't know. This is the first time I've ever like acknowledged that, so or realized that. So it's just something interesting. Um, yeah, I think it's a good match. Um, like without watching the match, I had no idea who's gonna win. Um,
Yeah, it was certainly a struggle. Uh, yeah, it was probably a struggle to watch for the viewers as well. It was a long match.
with the stalls.
Yeah,
Um, sometimes you just got to duke it out in the stalls. Um,
right. But yeah, game one didn't even go to time, so I'm curious how much time I would have had left
yeah,
to actually try and finish that out had I um, gotten to not gotten crit from the Registeel.
yeah. Um, well, props to Kingdras and the Bashers fall this week. Um, our next match, the Norwegian Darmanitans took on the Mimikyus. This one, a little foggy on the memory. Gonna be honest. Actually, no wait. This was a really good match. This was a really good match. A lot of switches, a lot of pivoting. And I think the Darmanitans, their team actually is pretty good at pivoting. But the Mimikyus, it was interesting watching their gameplay because the Mimikyus clearly know how to make reads. They know how to they were making reads, and I don't think they got all of the reads, but they got a decent amount of them. And some of their plays, I was thinking, why is he clicking that? Like, and it was almost like a read beyond a read. You know what I mean? Like you kind of go, like, just to make the safe play. Don't U-turn the or I don't know, um, the Serena. If it's they're just gonna switch into Incineroar. I don't know. I don't even think he had U-turn, but you know what I'm saying. Like he wasn't just making the obvious plays, and I really like the Mikyu's play style or gameplay for that reason. They were trying to predict, and I thought they played well. I thought it was an interesting matchup because you'd think with like all the pivoting going on that the Darmanitans would kind of have the advantage because they have the Serena, which can be really annoying to go up against, and then they have the Incineroar, which is great at pivoting. They have the bulkier team overall, whereas the Mimikyus didn't have such a bulky team. They did have the Screen Starmie, I think, this time, which helped out, but they overall didn't have the bulkier team. And then I think I'll let you talk about this match, Goomer, but I thought that what was interesting is at the end of Game 3, it felt like the Norwegian Darmanitans had it in the bag, and I don't know what they did. They didn't go for the Strength Sap, though, on the Golisopod. I think if they just went for it, I don't think they were in range of a normal Throat Chop, but so they didn't go for the Strength Sap, but what happened is the Throat Chop crit, and then there goes your Jellicent and it's GG's. So I don't know if it was a misplay on the Darmanitan side, or they just didn't expect the crit, or I'm not sure what happened. But anyway, the Mimikyus they pull it out, and they deserve the 2-1 victory.
So I watched like the first game and a half here, and then I had to go do something and stop watching and forgot to come back to it. So that is an unfortunate end game then. So it was basically Jellicent at like half health or something like that?
It was below because the Gliscor was burned, and I think it had like -1 or -2 attack or something because of the strength saps. And, like it was literally their only out. Their only out was a crit there, like a Throat Chop, and it was only possible if the Jellicent didn't go for a strength sap, and it didn't go for the strength sap, and then he got the crit. It was a wild end game. Like,
that sometimes that is sort of a like, even though there is a technically safer play that's like a longer, roundabout way to do it, you might just go for like, I'm just gonna go for damage and try to clean this up. But like, yeah, it's you can't always rely on that. There are those 5% outs that the opponent sometimes gets. So
yep. it was really enjoyable to watch, actually. Like, it was very slow gameplay because of all the pivoting, but I really enjoy watching that style of play, especially in Series 10, because you don't really see that a whole lot in the Dynamax format. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
watching it. It's slow, but it's not like Orbital versus Registeel slow.
That's slow.
It's not Mandibuzz versus Mantine slow. It's not like, geez, just freaking wrap it up.
Yeah.
No, it's really entertaining. And props to the Mimikyus, who they seem like a player. I think I believe they're 2-1. They're one of those players which I think they could definitely be a serious playoff contender. I don't know. That's just like my gut feeling, just based off of like how they're like. I like their draft and I like their gameplay. I don't know. They seem like a good opponent, and they took down the Darmanitans, which Darmanitans haven't had the greatest season thus far, but have been historically very good in the VDL. So not necessarily an easy win by any means.
I agree.
Yeah. So I guess our next match, Rebellion takes the 2-1 over the Los Angeles Infernapes. The Infernapes trying to get the first win. They play better every week. I actually really liked how they played this week. I don't think their play and prep was quite enough to get the win, but they got a game off Rebellion, and
Yeah, I think you can tell that they're playing a little bit better for sure.
and they're making reads. Like he has really good. He had some really good protects into double ups, and then I like how he was pivoting the Togekiss around to take those grassy glides away from the Regirock and using the Dragapult. The Dragapult, unfortunately, special Dragapult, its damage output is not that much. It has really nice coverage, but it's not going to do anything to a Blissey. And Rebellion's really relying on this Blissey. So,
Yeah, I think you also risk against facing any sort of fairy type Pokemon, like with Weezing. If you do throw out like a Draco Meteor or a Dragon Pulse or something like that, you do risk it just getting eaten up by that fairy type if they switch it in. Whereas Dragon Darts is always a really, really safe play because that will, it breaks sashes, which is really nice, like it could on a Regieleki or something like that. But also, if there is a fairy type out there, if there's not, well, it'll just get nice spread damage. But yeah, Dragon Darts is just really safe against those fairy types.
yep, I agree. And I think Dragon Darts is. I personally like the move. I think it's really interesting. Also, Breaking Swipe would have been pretty decent against Solutions team. I don't know. Dragapult's a weird Pokemon to use in non-Dynamax, but I think
it plays differently, but yeah.
But I actually liked how the Infernapes played, but just wasn't enough to beat Rebellion. And Rebellion sneaks away with another strategic win with the Thwacky pivoting around and the Blissey being a freaking fat nurse who indestructible in defense, and then the Electro Ball, man, that thing.
I was gonna say, did you expect that to KO? I kind of
I did not. I did not expect it to one shot the Regirock. I was like, oh my gosh, flexing on the Reggie.
Yeah, that Regieleki put on a ton of pressure. So
that was big. Something I will say is I found it interesting that the Infernapes opted to go for Earthquake Regirock, knowing that Lucian had grassy terrain.
Yes,
because that's
I remember noticing.
Yeah, so I think I don't.
Rock slides would have done more damage against the Regieleki actually.
Yeah, I think it would have been better overall. I know the Earthquake under the Togekiss is good, but just not against Thwacky. And I remember thinking, man, if he would gone for Stomping Tantrum, he would have just OHKO'd that Aleki, but Stomping Tantrum doesn't OHKO, so it wouldn't have made that big of a difference. But yeah, I thought that was a bit of an odd bring, maybe, but yeah. But unfortunately, Infernapes couldn't pull it out. Rebellion, Lucian, still, he's having a winning season so far. He's fighting for that title. I know he wants it. If it was solely based on want, Lucian would be a top contender, I think. But yeah, anything else more to say about that match?
Let's jump into the next one.
Let's hop into the next one then. Porygons were undefeated previously, and they remain undefeated. Gonna be honest, Toots, this one was hard to watch. I don't know if Toots prepped for the Lanoon extreme speed stuff, but man, he just had he had no answers for it. he didn't have fake
And you
out on
said
the
no.
Raichu.
Right. Yep.
Um, and then he just had minimal spread moves. I think the Heat Wave miss really hurt him game one. Because honestly, like, I feel like the only thing to do is if you can't stop the setup, at least get some spread damage on it, and then get it within KO range of your other Pokemon, so you can at least like double into it and eventually get rid of it while taking some hits. Um, but the Extreme
Yeah,
Speed was brutal.
did the Landorus have EQ and Rock Slide?
No, I think it was Special Landorus.
Uh
Yeah. So then that's what I mean. I don't think like Toots' prep just coincidentally really struggled. I don't against the Lanoon like
well,
setup.
the thing is though, against a Togetic, I think, or really any redirection, I think having spread move options should be, yeah, should
Yep.
be on the on the prep for sure.
Yeah, and it was unfortunate that like the only Pokemon that the Pokemon that Toots brought with Focus Sash was the only Pokemon he had that actually was is immune to Extreme Speed, which is the Shedinja. So he couldn't actually sit him on out there and be like, haha, I'll just take your Extreme Speed with my Sash and then bop you back. He couldn't do that.
Although it would have been interesting if he brought Quick Guard on Talonflame.
That's true. That would have shut that down too. I mean, he could throat chop, but the problem was not the throat chop. The problem was Extreme Speed. So that actually is something he could have brought. I actually I thought that I kind of wanted to see the Nasty Plot Raichu like kind of pop off and do something because I think it actually could have been good in that matchup, but not against the Extreme Speed Lanoon. I did think it was a little weird that the Porygons like game two they led the same thing and then they double switched out and then they just ended up getting like losing game two. But maybe they were just trying to test and see what. I was just curious about that. Like maybe they were just trying to test and see what the Suicune would do again to the lead. So they were trying to play it safe and switch out. But regardless, game three they came back just did the same thing, the Extreme Speed stuff, and it just worked out. Yeah, it was a good showing from the Porygons and Toots.
Yeah, it's just one of those silly gimmicks that you gotta prep for, even though it is sort of, yeah. I mean, it is gimmicky and whatnot. It's just one of those things you got to account for. It's like if somebody had Shuckle and Chansey. It's like, yeah, it's a silly gimmick, but like if you kind of disregard it and prep as a silly gimmick, and they bring it against you, like that can be real trouble.
Yep. I mean, it's I agree. That thing is vicious. I didn't know like watching the sets that like Toots had to. I was like, man, I don't know how you get out of this. You kind of like got to launch moves off and try to take that thing down, and hopefully like your last Pokemon will 1v3 or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it was hard to deal with what he brought, and unfortunately he didn't have the no guard skill swap sheer cold Suicune this time. So that would have been an easy counter, but he didn't have it. Different team, different time. Our next match, the Brisbane Blazikens fall to the Georgia Gurchens. I will say in this match, I think the Blazikens got the Blunder Award, or I think they're nominated at least. I forget what all happened, and I think it was in game one.
So game one, the Zapdos hit a raw crit Hurricane, I believe, against the Rotom.
Yeah. And then I think that that really hurt the Rotom. I felt bad for the Rotom in this match overall. And then
I still think the Gurchens brought some really good prep. So, like, yeah, it seemed like they just always had the pressure.
yeah, I don't think like I don't want to take away from the Gurchens win, because of the luck on the Blaziken side. Because I think the Gurchens actually really played well, and I don't think like I think the Blazikens could have made something else happen in this match, but I don't necessarily think the Gurchens don't deserve the 2-0, if that makes sense.
Right. I think yeah. It's not like the only reason they won is because of the hurricanes and the crits and stuff. I think was there a confusion? Whoa, there was the Clefable Meteor Beam miss.
Oh yeah. That hurt my heart.
Yeah, that the Meteor Beam is extra, you know, unfortunate to miss because then it's a 2-turn setup. Obviously,
Yep.
you waste that item.
Like you need that.
But I think the other issue too was the Blazikens using. I think they might have used all of their moves with Clefable that game one, and then just with the set they had, it allows the Gurchens probably to play a little bit easier game two, knowing that Clefable does not have follow me.
And I completely agree. Like that's kind of the when you have sneaky prep, it can work out really well. Like
You have to bust it out at the right time, and
yeah, exactly.
like you said in your game, you busted out the sucker punches with both of those Pokemon at the exact right time that you needed to. Um,
And if they don't work,
because
yeah, if they don't
yeah,
work, it can bite you because they can take advantage of it then. But
yep.
yeah, it's but I really like the discharge lightning rod combo with the Rhyperior. I and the main reason I like that is because it actually looked like really good. Like it was not a silly, unexpected sort of like it was a super viable strategy in the matchup. And it's one thing to bring a combo that throws your opponent off guard and is unexpected, but it's another thing to do that and have the combo actually be very, very efficient and really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it just worked
I
out
mean,
really
yeah.
well. So he had not only a good strategy, but like alone by itself, it was a good strategy. And on top of that, it was extremely, completely not expected.
Yeah.
So that worked out really well, and it gave it a nice way to hit the Rotom. With the ice
Well, that
beam.
I guess I was actually a little bit more confused by the lightning rod strategy. I mean, like I mean, obviously it worked, right?
Yeah.
But and I thought the same thing when I saw it use Ice Beam and a Rotom and an O-Code. I was like, wow, that was really nice. But I was in my head, I was thinking, couldn't the Rhyperior just have gone for like a Fire Punch? Um,
But maybe he's expecting Akaberry. I don't know. But I mean,
right.
then
That and
again,
that. Right.
I don't know. I mean, he has Ice Punch too, I think. So maybe I don't know.
Right. Now the thing now, because Rhyperior has obviously such high attack and such low special attack, it takes after if you're going max attack adamant or max special attack modest, you would need 2 lightning rod boosts to be even just neutral with attack.
Yes.
So essentially, you'd be a little higher, but essentially neutral. So well, and then you miss out on some, you miss out on like rock slide and stuff like that. Um, but I guess you don't have to worry about like Sacred Fire Burn from Entei, or
Mm-hmm.
like charm stuff from Morgrim or Reflect or whatnot. However, again with the Lightning Rod, um, I think the risky thing about it, and maybe this is why they brought it game two, but if the Clefable's unaware and Clefable has decent special defense, Clefable kind of follow me just kind of shuts down that strat because you the lightning rod boosts don't matter, so you're stuck with Rhyperior's low special attack, and then the discharge wasn't really doing that much damage. So unaware Clefable is, I don't know, it just felt like a weird bring against an unaware Clefable, I guess. But
I can agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Something else I was also thinking about though is special attack way better against Duraludon. Way better against Berserker.
oh,
Way better against
okay,
Berserker. Way better against Entei. So maybe it's on Assault Vest. So that could have been some of the thought behind it. I don't know.
right. I didn't. Right, I don't have the full matchup
Yeah.
in front of me, like of so there definitely could have been reasons for it, but and I mean at the end of the day, I guess it's kind of hard to criticize a match when you get a 4-0. So
Yep. Exactly. I was thinking though about like in that strat, if you set up Trick Room with the Porygon and you get the discharge paras, it actually helps out your opponent if they get unless they're full parad.
yes,
But
yeah,
that's a I don't know. That's a situational thing I was thinking about.
yeah,
But I thought it was a cool strat, and it was cool to see it work out really well.
Yeah.
And props to making that kind of thing work. Because I try to come up with a lot of funky strats, but they just don't seem like they'll be that efficient. And so I try not to run them. And it's so finding that good strat that works out well and is also unexpected. That's what really can win you draft games. So,
Yeah.
well played. And our last match to talk about is the Shenandoah Sun Warriors versus the South Croydon Soars. I know I watched this one, and oh yeah, the Sun Warriors were having technical difficulties, and I felt bad because when your stream's messing up and you're in the midst of a match and you're trying to like pay attention to everything, it's stressful. It's not fun.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember exactly how the match went.
I don't even know if we got to see game 3.
Did we not? Maybe.
I felt like
Maybe not.
didn't.
I think he just faced his webcam or his face cam at the screen.
Oh, maybe we did.
I don't know.
Yeah. But was this the one where it was Wild Charge Emolga with dual wing beat?
Maybe. Wait.
Might have been, which I thought was kind of a weird bring, personally, but
What was the matchup exactly?
well, you have Wishy Washy.
Oh, this was the Moonlight. So Wishy Washy went, someone went for the Rain Dance, and then they neutered or they really cut down on the Moonlight healing from the Umbreon, which is a great read, like fantastic read to go for that. And then that really helped him out because that Umbreon is really, really hard to take down if you don't have the best offense. So inhibiting the Moonlight's healing.
Only 25% recovery is
Yeah.
I mean, that's like doing life, dude. That's really
It helped out. I think it helped out. And I think it made the difference in the match because they were able to take down the Umbreon a lot easier. I do remember that. I don't remember who they brought. I feel bad. It was Wishy Washy.
What?
Can you check the battle report?
Yeah. It was Comfey, Caparaja,
yeah.
Manectric, and Wishy Washy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the floral healing. I like the floral healing combo with the Wishy Washy in general. Like I like that combo.
Yeah. And the Sun Warriors didn't bring any stab damage against that Comfey. Which if you don't, I mean, that Comfey can be a really annoying Pokemon to take down.
I agree, and especially since it has like, if you target it down, I mean, you can always protect. It actually gets synthesis as well, and you can also go for Draining Kisses to heal up. If you don't target it, it's just going to floral healing its partner, and then you're getting nowhere. And then if you try to go for some other setup, I mean, or try to ignore both of them, I mean, Comfey can go for it doesn't get Tailwind, that's transfer move, but it can get Trick Room. It can get other supportive moves. Comfey is a crazy support mon. And I don't know. I think the Shenandoah Sun Warriors, they have the type of team where, like, they don't have like they don't look like they have the kind of team that has like amazing matchups into other teams, but they also look like the kind of team that they don't really have a bad matchup very often. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's very well balanced.
Yeah, they have a lot of tools they can utilize.
Yeah. And I think the Croydon Soars just, again, dude, the Croydon Soars, they just, I don't know, they pull out these strats, and I'm like, I have no idea if they're gonna win, and then they just pull it out.
I think I do remember that there was supposedly a misclick. I think it might have been game 3.
Oh, really?
Or maybe it was game 2. I forget. I remember the Sun Warriors talking about
stick drift. Never used the. Oh my gosh, dude. Switch. Joy-Cons.
I've still never really experienced that in like a match.
Oh, I haven't. I think I've experienced that in a couple Pokemon matches. But if you play Super Smash Bros. With stick drift, you're gonna want you just throw the TV, like just throw the TV out the window. It's just you can't. It's so frustrating. I don't know. That's I'm a pro controller all the way. But yeah, I think this was another match where it wasn't like it was a lot about it was about positioning, and I think dealing with that wishy-washy was kind of hard. And I like I don't know. I like what the Croydon Swords brought. I'm trying to remember the game that the Sun Warriors won. Did they win with the?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't recall. It was so long ago. It um yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the. Oh well, we're sorry. Wait, I can't remember all the details of it. But two good teams squaring off. Croydon Swords pull ahead. So or duke it out or pull it out. So I guess we'll hop into and we'll go through quickly the top 24 in order. This is what the council came up with. Like I said again, it's hard to rank the Trixie Tricos and the Welsh Warlords, but they are in here. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
Number 24. Again, I'm sorry, LA Infernapes. You have one of the coolest logos, if not the coolest, and you have a good team. But I think you were 24 last week and didn't pick up a win, so you just kind of fell into that 24 spot again.
They did pick up a game though, so
they did pick up a game,
definitely improving.
and
Definitely improving.
And I will say some of the council rated them higher. So, but they still cumulatively or whatever, fell to 24.
Yeah,
I do like how they played better, and I definitely think they're more than capable to pick up wins. But we'll have to see how they utilize some of these mons. Yeah, we haven't seen the Rabood. The one thing I will say is it seems like he's relying on the Dragapult and the Tugkiss and the Cobalion to do a lot of the heavy lifting.
yeah.
But yeah, I think he's got tools on his team and is more than a good enough team to get some wins. But we'll hop into number 23. Who do we think it's going to be? It is the Massachusetts Manatees. 0-3 record, -6 differential. Sorry, Manatees. You're down here. You know why. Haven't won any games yet. But that's okay, because you got close. And you do have some very powerful monster team. Thunderous and Celesteela. Amazing. Definitely, I think some unfortunate luck against Gurt. But not able to pull out the set. I recall the Manatees actually having pretty close games most of the time, but they just haven't been able to pull it out.
Yeah, and I think even though they do have a lower differential, they're -6 here. There might be a little bit of coach bias going in here, right? Because we've seen the Manatees play. We know they can play good games. It just hasn't panned out with this draft team. Sometimes it takes a little bit getting used to your team. I know they were considering some trades, so we'll see what happens. I think some trades could definitely benefit them and help them get some wins later on.
Agreed. Coughing gigas. No, part of me wants them to keep it and prove me wrong. Prove a lot of people wrong that Gigas and coughing can be good. I'm a slight
I would
believer.
rather. I'm not a believer.
I think it could. Come on, it's the coughing. Classic Team Rocketmon and the Traffic Light Monster together. They can. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the Manatees can do. Number 22. The third, one of 3 Dans in the league, the Suffolk Suicune, Toots, and his beloved team. Toots, I see
Schmoot.
Toots the Schmoots. I see him as that trainer who cares deeply about his Pokemon. They're all diverse. Seems like he'd be a trainer that would have all these in the anime. Just not doing too hot. Fell to I want to say gimmicky strat. It's not really gimmicky because I think the Lanoon strat is absolutely viable and not like a joke. Or a meme or anything. So, but he just fell to that strat, and when you have nothing for it, it's just you can't do much. So, Toots came off of a bad loss, had another bad loss, so down here at 22. But we all know how that Toots is that player that can go 0-3 and then go win his next 3 matches easily. So you never know. You never know with the Toots.
Yeah, you just gotta keep his head up and keep trusting the team, learning it, and bring some spice.
And I will say for these 0-3 teams down here, I started off last season 4-0, and then my last 4 games this season I lost them all. So I was on an 0-4 losing streak going into playoffs last year, and I didn't feel good. So I know what it's like to lose consistently and a few matches in a row and get flustered. But you can always turn it around. Next, number 21, Sussex Sableyes. I feel like they have such close games, and I said this about the Manatees too, and yet they haven't picked up a game yet. It's crazy to me. Like I
I
wouldn't
agree.
expect that.
Yeah, I will say that they don't feel like an 0-3 team for sure.
Yeah, I would agree.
And
Like
even
I
though
don't
they
think
do
they
have a
play
kind of a
bad.
goof,
I don't think they play bad.
right, right, they have a goofy team, but they're playing well, and it's just not panning out for them. So but again, I would not be surprised if they end 5-3 or 4-4. Like it's so very possible for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I like to see, I liked the bronze orb ring. I liked it. I want to see more out of like the Jigglypuff and the Crawdon and some of these weird mons on the team. But the four horsemen, the four horses, they still seem pretty reliable, and they're actually a pretty good little core. If I'm going to be honest, they're kind of scary. But yeah, we'll see what the saddle squad can do. Number 20, the Darmanitans. They haven't had the best season. And I feel like they've slipped up a couple matches. It seems like there's been games where they've like had it within their grasp, and then they either misplayed or got unlucky, or mainly there's just a couple times where I think
Yeah,
that
I feel like they should. They by how the games have been going, it sort of feels like they should be 2-1 right now.
yeah, they it seems like a couple of the games have just been sort of thrown by either just misplays or like at the very end. Like I don't know, but maybe I don't know all the details, but
Right.
yeah, and obviously they have a very strong team. It was really enjoyable watching their match this week, and I think they know how to play this like pivoty, bulky team, and I like it. Um, but yeah, we all know Klopsky's a good player and can turn the season around if he wants to. So we'll have to see. I'd like to see the Como do something cool because that mon is way too cool, and yeah, everybody's rooting for Como. Um, Number 19. This is our highest ranked 0-3 team. And I think that kind of the numbers and the other rankings kind of speak for themselves. They were ranked number 1 in the power rankings week 0. And I don't think I necessarily disagree with that. Like, their team is extremely strong. They've had a very tough schedule so far, I'd say. You know, playing against
Yeah, I think
Otto and Gumi,
Gumi,
and then
Otto, and
I
you.
kind of
Yeah.
liked my matchup into him as well. And it's yeah, but I mean he's taking games and he's I think Batista said this. He's just a couple plays or a couple like little like turns away from being a 2-1 team as opposed to 0-3.
Yep. Yeah, I still think they have one of the scariest teams, and it's just sort of unfortunate. Being thrown into the VBA and having to face what I would say is 3 of the essentially top teams or it's not the VBA, sorry, the VDL. 3 of the top teams in the VDL right off the bat. So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't like calling myself a top team. I guess I don't like saying it, but I felt good in our match, and I'm feeling good this season. So, but what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say?
Hey, you don't want to undersell it when somebody like Batista beats you.
True,
You gotta still call yourself a top team, so that Batista can say he beat a top team.
true. Batista played it. Batista played great. I love my rain squad. But something I do want to say against or about the Arcanines is this is my 4th season of the VDL. It as far as matches against Gumi and Otto combined, the Arcanines have played them more than I have. And this is their first.
Wow.
This is the first season. This is my 4th, and I played Otto once, and I have never played Gumi in the VDL. The Arcanines hop in, and after their first 2 matches, they've already played those 2, a combined total of more than I have. So a bit of a rough entry. But yeah, we're gonna see what they got in store. And yeah, from what I hear, Dan is a furious competitor, and he's he is not giving up on this season. He's going to try to come back and go 5-3. So we'll
Good.
see.
Good.
Next, we got number 18, the Drowsy Dragazolts. Trick Room mode, I think they had some bad luck this week. And they did kind of get shut down. And their plan just didn't work out. I think I said this last week. I am sort of a believer in this team, and I think it has been a little underrated. And I think it's Masenko as the coach. I think he knows how to utilize it well. Like I think this is a team where if you underestimate it going up against them, you will lose.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And it it's a good team, but it feels like it might be a tough team to play with. Um, and so, um, but it's still very possible to do well with this team, I believe.
But it also, I don't know if we mentioned this previously, it also works in the same way that kind of Batista's monotype teams work, where you know that you have a trick room team, and it's not even solely a trick room team. We know there's more than that, but
Right.
just off first glance, it's a trick room team, very strong in trick room. You know it's a trick room team essentially, but
Yeah.
and you know your opponent knows it's a trick room team, and so you can assume some things that they're going to prep for because you know they're going to prep against your trick room. So you can
Right.
start to make
Right.
assumptions as to what they're going to bring because you know they have to counter that. Kind of like
Yep.
Batista knows you're going to bring a fighting type against his dark team. Like, and so he can prep for that specifically. Even though
Yeah.
it might be a struggle, he at least knows what to prep for, has better ideas. That might play a factor into this team. I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting concept, something to think about. Octillery, one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. I hope it does really well. I will say, and the Sandcastle, of course. All right, let's move on. Number 17, Shenandoah Sun Warriors. I when I look at this team for too long, I start to think like the longer I stare at this team, the stronger I think it is because they just have a lot of tools and. I've heard this guy's a good player, and it seems like the kind of guy who knows how to utilize all the Pokemon on his team. I don't know, Goomer. What are your thoughts on this 17th ranking?
I still think some trades could be utilized to help. They may have made a trade actually. I think I can't remember. I think they may have made one. But yeah, I think like some of the prep has felt a little odd to me, but it could be a playstyle thing, I guess. Um, but overall, I think yeah, there have been a little bit of unfortunate games. You've got the Serene Gray stuff against Lucian, and then yeah, the technical difficulties this week. So some unfortunate mishaps there, I guess. But yeah, I'm still just kind of torn, I guess, on this team. Um, I think it it has it has potential, but it's just yeah, I think it's yet to be proved. I don't know. I'm still a little bit torn on it.
I agree. I would sort of agree with that. Where it seems like the kind of team that has like a ton of tools, but it thrives off of like game threes and close games and adapting instead of just having a few strats that might blow someone away. I'm not sure though. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll move on.
I guess we'll see. Yeah.
We will have to see a couple of Umbreon, love that mon. Nidoking, love that mon. Like to see those do well. Also, Molga. I love the fact. Actually, that's something I will say. The thing I like most about this team is that, and this coach is that they seem to believe in Amolga, and I think Amolga is underrated. I'm just gonna say it. It's underrated.
Yeah. Well, I'll
I
agree
like
with
it.
you.
I
Yeah.
like it. I genuinely think it's a pretty good, decent mon. All right, moving on to number 16. The Kingdras. Why don't you talk about this, Goomer? Your nemesis now, your new rival.
I know. No, they. I think I actually always thought that they were playing pretty well and they had a decent team, even though it is kind of wonky, and I do feel like uh, the the Vulpix could be better utilized with something else. I think they did trade it for Marshtomp, which I don't really see that pick either. It's kind of interesting to me, but um, regardless, I think they sort of had to prove themselves. People, you know, after being 0-2, and yeah, they definitely proved themselves this week, picking up a win against me, and so I think they definitely have some scary tools in their team. Obviously, Registeel and Landorus are big threats, as well as just having a general weather mode and redirection. So. Um, yeah, I think they have some nice tools. Although a wonky team, and I'm interested to see how they do in the rest of this season.
I agree. I think they can definitely do some stuff, and they value the Registeel. And uh, Goomer and I are big fans of the Registeel. We had it in the
Oh
multi-battle
yeah,
league. It
love the
was
red steel.
a monster. It was so good,
Yeah,
uh, and so surprisingly good.
yeah.
For other people to go up against. Um, I honestly, I think the only part to me that's wonky about this team is the three pre-evolution Pokemon. The what is it? The
Yeah, no.
Fletchinder,
I
the Vulpix,
I
and the
totally
Togepi.
agree.
That's like the only
Yep.
thing because none of them. I mean, Togepi utilizes Eviolite well, but it's really not ideal as compared to Togetic. That's really the only part about this team I find wonky. But
Well,
the others,
I would say Azelf is a fairly uncommon drafted mon. Um, I think Beartic is sort of interesting. And then yeah, I guess you're right. I guess that is the only wonky part of it is the three pre-evolution mons.
I like it.
But
Have you got some goofy mons? The Beartic, Scrafty, Pelipper, Azelf. It's kind of like the I don't know that weird misfit team. Maybe that misfit team that hangs out in the garage. Bunch of cool people. You just don't know them all that well. I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm even saying. But
could be.
I like the team, and so I guess we'll move on. Number 15. We've got the Welsh Warlords, which we couldn't accurately really rank this week, but they fell 15th. We don't know if they're going to be 1 and 2 or they're going to be 2 and 1. Who knows? Um, love the Skeptile. Love this team in general. Has a lot of tools. It's got offense. It's got bulk. It's got speed control. It's got stall factor. It's got typing. Um, I don't know. There's not much to say this week because they didn't play. But any other thoughts, Goomer?
No, just a really scary team, and waiting to see how it performs. 1-1. This is the chance to take it to a positive record.
Right. Yep. All right. Let's move on to 14. We've got the Somerville Scraggies. They were coming off a big win against Otto, and then they went up against Batista. And yeah, I mean, looking at this team, I can kind of see why Batista liked this matchup as opposed to other matchups, because this
Yeah,
team really doesn't have a fighting type. It does have the body press and the Gigalith, but it doesn't have a fighting type. It
and it
has
does have a fairy type, but it's the fairy type is best utilized next to that psychic type indeed. So,
yeah,
um,
exactly. Um, and not to mention Slurpup's damage output really isn't that high,
right.
so it is kind of tricky. And like a lot of
I think the issue might have been the underutilization of this Bolton.
the Bolton Bashers know how to bash. He should have bashed. Um, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe you need to bash a little more. I have no idea. Does Bolt get any fighting moves? Probably not. Brick break, maybe. Rock
No,
smash.
but it does get play rough.
It does get play rough. Maybe you should have played a little rougher. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but I like how the Somerville Scraggies love the Stoutland, and I think Stoutland's a great mon, and
Oh
I
yeah.
like that they value it. Um, and I still think this is a scary team. They just lost a 1-2 set against Batista, and so they're falling down here, not as high as they once were. So yeah, not much more to say, I guess. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Number 13, the MK Mimikyus. This team is. I like watching them play. I specifically enjoyed their match this week. And I like a lot of the mons on their team, like Galissapod, which like can be really good, but just isn't utilized all that much.
Yeah.
Or I don't see utilized all that much. Like I really think Chandelure is underrated. And he's just got a lot of tools on his team. The Alona Executor, bit of a wacky team. Very strong though.
Yeah, so I have to face them this next week, so I'm prepping for them. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of confused why they're ranked so low. Like, I feel like they've been playing fairly well, and they have a really scary team. So I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they do have a set. I would
I
agree.
really like their team comp. I really like it.
I like the team comp, and I like how they play. Because yeah, like I said, they're not afraid to go for reads, and they're not making super risky plays. They're just like smart, positional, not all eggs in one basket type of reads. So yeah, I don't know. Good all around. Wouldn't be surprised if they keep winning.
Yeah.
Number 12, we moved up to the top 50%, top half. We're at the top of the hill. Rebellion sitting at number 12. Got a win this week. Was coming off a loss, I believe. Looked pretty good. What I'm noticing is this Blissey and this Thwacky are becoming like a real nuisance for teams. And I think if teams can figure out how to get through those or prep for it, it might give Lucian some trouble. But then again, maybe it won't. Maybe Lucian will figure out another way. Maybe he'll bust out the Gudra or Electro Ball Lecky, which apparently just does a billion damage. Which I guess it makes sense, given that it's a Lecky and all that stuff. But I like how Lucian's played, and I think he seemed to analyze some of his matchups. I know in his loss he didn't play the best against the Marowak, and I think he knows that. But yeah, I feel like we've said this about like all the teams, but a funky looking team, Cryogonal.
I was thinking the
What was
exact
it?
same thing.
Was it Cryogonal? Cryogonal? I don't know.
Cryogonal. I think the Cryogonal, the Blissey, the Archeops, the Stunfisk. I mean, it just has the ingredients for a weird team.
Dude, if you look at Cryogonal and like you picture a face out of it, it actually looks kind of scary.
Well, I always think of it as Andros from Star Fox 64.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm never gonna be able to unthink that now. Um, but we're big fans of the Archeop picks or the Archeop
Oh
picks,
yeah,
so we know we love that. Yeah, kind of a wacky team. He picked up on the Goomers stun display of the Stunfisk last season, I think, and he picked it up. Yeah, just a hard team to approach, I think. Like a crazy team. And I think that's what Lucian wants. He wants a wonky, wild team that can do a lot of different things. So,
yes.
um, yeah, this just looks like a cast to a sitcom. That's what this team is. Um, so I'm going to move on to number 11, and that is the South Croydon Source. This team just has a lot of offense. And I think they played really well, especially with the read with the Moonlight and utilizing the Wishy-Washy really well, which is it's not deceptively strong because we know it's strong. It's just not used often. But that thing is bulky and strong.
Yeah. I
Um,
feel like this team has one of the most synergy that of all the teams too. It's got to be like top five in synergy. I feel like.
I could see that. We mention this every time. It's awkward they don't have a Sunsetter for Charizard and the Venusaur, but then again they have the Lipard, and then again it's not something that they have to lean on. They could just
Yeah.
they can have that in the back pocket at all times. Not to
Yeah.
mention that Lipard's not the only Pokemon that gets Sunny Day. It's just optimal because it's Prankster, but I think there are a lot of things that this team can do, but they don't have like that upfront combo that just blasts you, so you don't really know what to prep for. And I think might be a strength of this team.
Definitely.
Looking forward to future matches. Number 10, Batista. I've said it. I say it every week, and I'll probably say it again. I think this is Batista's strongest monotype team that I've seen, at least in the VDL.
Agreed.
Batista actually he had a mono psychic team that just won another draft league, and It's a good match, actually, if you watch it. But this is a scary freaking team, and I'm gonna just talk about it because I prepped for it already, and it just got so many tools. Like if you ignore the dark typings, it's got prankster. It has weather stuff it can do. Has lots of fake out. Has illusion, which is always scary. It's got freaking Urshifu you can't protect. It's got Mandibuzz, the stall wall. It's got freaking Malamar who you switch in on like a charm or something and boom, you're +2 attack. I don't know. It can be really weird. Drapion can do crits. Like you have Defiant Bisharp. I don't know. This team has a lot of tools.
I agree. It's it shows you how cool dark Pokemon are. But yeah, no, I love this team, and I think Batista. I know he was underselling it, saying he might only get one win, but I think he's already gotten more than that, and I think he could do pretty well this season. So each season he's improved. We'll see if that continues.
Yep, he is stinging like a Rabumbi right now. Stinging like a Sableye. Stinging like a Mandibuzz. Well, let's move on. Number 9. Trixie Tricos. Didn't play this week. Kind of hard to say much about a match that they didn't play yet. So,
right.
Yes, but we know that Otto's a fantastic player. He's got a crazy team that can do has a lot of tech. His most notable tech is missing gear grinds with Klinklang, which is probably Klinklang's strongest trait. Unfortunately, it's such a cool Pokemon, but yeah. Anyways, that's weeks past. We'll see what happens against the Wailords. But yeah, it was kind of hard to rank them this week accurately, so they're sitting here at number 9. Anything else to add, Goomer?
No, we'll just waiting to see more content from him.
Yep, we need that tent. Number 8, the Brisbane Blazikens. Brisbane Blazikens were looking hot, and they still could make an appearance in like the top 5, but I thought they were going to be a team this season that might stick around in like the top 3 or 4 for a lot of the season. Took a loss this week to the Gurchens, and the Gurchens played really well. I still think they have an extremely strong team, mainly the Blastoise and Entei. Those two are just hard to prep for. Inner Focus, and then Blastoise can, the fact that it can go offensive or defensive, really hard to go against. This team just has a lot of tools. I think, again, with the Clefable Redirection, they have, Fake Out, they have Prankster, they've got a lot of bulky offense, which I think is the main thing here, and I think Blazikens play it well.
Yeah, I like the little combo of having redirection and being able to ignore others' redirection with Groudon. It's kind of cool. And yeah, every single mon on this team is pretty good. I'm not a huge Morgrem fan, or Xatu for that matter, but I don't doubt that they can do stuff in Series 10. So
I think I actually like Xatu. I've never used it, so I can't really say how good it is. But I used to use it in like weird VGC teams I was trying out, but
I like Xatu more than Morgrem. I'll say that for its tier.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But yeah, I guess not much more to say about Blazikens. Hopefully, you'll have a little better luck next week. Number 7, we've got the Bolton Bashers. Goomer, you're very familiar with this team. I think you want to talk about it.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I don't know. I like my team. I am having a much easier time prepping with them this season than last season. I still think it's not perfect, but it's fun. It's fun to play with and prep with, and it's not like I don't necessarily feel like I have foolproof prep each week, but I feel like I have enough tools to have decent game plans against my opponents. So, and that I'm happy with. Whereas last season, I felt like there were some matchups that were just really, really not fun to play against. So, I don't think it's going to be easy necessarily the rest of the season, but I hopefully will have the tools to get some more wins and try out some more of the techs I was saving.
Yep, and you have one of the strongest tools of all, the Heatmore.
The heat more.
The heat more brings the heat. No one brings more heat more than the heat more. Let's see.
Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry. I'll fire myself. I'll leave.
We can. Yeah.
We can edit that out. Number 6, right ahead of you is your older brother, the Tyrannosaurus sauces. I think I had a really big win this week. In my opinion, it was a matchup I was very much stressing about. Had no idea how it was going to play out. Kind of expected to lose, and then the things I prepped for, like, it just worked out really well. So I was really happy to get this win. I think I actually ranked myself lower than 6. I think I was in the teens in my own rankings, but I've got some believers, so you put me up here, and I like it, and I love my squad, honestly.
Yeah, I think you've got a really, really cool team. Looks scary to prep against, and I am glad I don't have to face it.
We don't. Not until we play and potentially in playoffs. We'll see. I don't know. Doug Bro versus Doug Bro. If we play in playoffs, it's just Doug Trio 1v1. That's all it is.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. Let's do it.
You have the advantage though, because yours is super effective against mine.
We don't have to go into details. You'll probably just fissure me and somehow break my sash at the same time. I don't know. You'll find a way.
I'll find a way.
Alrighty, moving on. Number 5. Now, so we're moving up into, spoiler alert, next 4 teams after this one. They're all undefeated. I think you could make an argument for a lot of these teams. I think the reason this team, and there really are no good reasons as to why the Porygons are number 5 and the number 1 team's number 1. Like, there's no ultimate reason.
Well, there's differential.
There's differential. There is differential. But I think more importantly is I think the Porygons got a big win this week. You with the Lanoon, it was dominant, but I don't think it displayed that was kind of the only thing that they displayed this week is that Lanoon is OP when set up.
Right.
That's they didn't show superior gameplay, I guess I want to say. They kind of just had a strategy that Toots unfortunately didn't have prep for, and it just took off. So it's harder to rank them, I'd say.
I agree.
I think if you're someone who really, really likes your cores, this is one of the biggest. You probably love this team. It's got redirection plus super bulky, strong team with Firewater Grass Core is insane on this team, and yeah, I think it's just, I don't know, strong team. You're in the top 5. Congrats. Anything else to say about this team?
No, I think it's a solid team and excited to see what else they bring.
I will say that I they're showing that they can dominate with Pokemon like the Lanoon and Pokemon like the Poltergeist. They're not relying on the Cinderace every week. They're not relying on the Suicune to do everything. They're using their lower tiers and their full team, and I think that makes this team even very scary to go up against because they could bring anything. They could literally bring their bottom 6 tiers and make it work. Yeah, I guess we'll move on to number 4. That's going to be the Georgia Gurchens. Busting out the cool Rhyperior period tech this week. They've had some close games, some close wins. I'm a big fan of a lot of the Pokemon on the team. I think they have a lot of Pokemon that do really well in Max format, like Inteleon and Zapdos and Rhyperior, but they're utilizing them well out of the Max format, which I think is nice to see. And props to getting the Regice. Regice wants to be on a team. Can't leave out the Regice. Regice is a Reggie,
right?
And
yeah, of course, I love seeing Regice get some love. Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say it. Regice is my favorite Reggie. Reggie, I might maybe Reggie Miller, but Regice is close second. But Reggie, I don't know. I like seeing it being utilized, and he has used it. So
yeah, I really like this team. This is a good team. I'm not surprised to see it high up here. It's a really, really well built team.
I agree, and I personally think Meowstic is one of the more interesting prankster mons. I think it can do some
100%.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into detail. The first draft team I ever had had the Meowstic on it, and I loved that thing.
I had it on my winning team.
Ooh, is a sign.
Yeah.
I think I won when I had it. I think there's a sign. The Gurchens might be going for the title. I don't know. Anything else more about this team?
No.
Alrighty, moving on to number 3. The Beantown Barnacles. I want to rate this team high just because the freaking thumbnails make me die, dude.
Oh my gosh.
The first time, the first time I saw his thumbnail, like people have these cool Pokemon images, and then I go over to his thumbnail, and it's a Mickey Mouse versus flying SpongeBob. Dude, I died. I'm gonna keep talking about that every week. And then the freaking like Hitmonlee literally is a chicken nugget. That killed me too. That realization. And then like
Sometimes I didn't know who they were, and I had to figure it out. But
dude, at first I talked to Batista about this last week. At first I thought it was a code, and then I couldn't figure out the code, and then I just gave up on thinking that it was a code. And then Batista said last week, he's like, no, it actually is a code for the Pokemon. Like the cooler is the Glaceon, the chicken nugget is Hitmonlee, and it just blew my mind. The Mickey Mouse is the Raichu, I guess. Blew my mind. Love it. I absolutely love it. And Cooler and
so funny.
Cooler and Pumpkin doing great this week, I will say.
Oh yeah, Pumpkin's such an underrated mon, and this is a really cool team. He's used the Lurantis well. I think Lurantis is kind of underrated in this format.
Agreed.
And the electric mode is really, really scary. Such a nice speed mode, and just so much offense. Rising Voltage is just disgusting.
The thing I really like about the speed mode, I got a couple things to say about this team. The thing I really like about the electric speed mode is you don't have to bring it for it to be effective. You can bring just electric terrain with Tapu Koko, and it can be useful. And Tapu Koko can be useful. And Raichu by itself can be useful. But the fact that it's also a combo makes it extra scary, and then that's one more thing that you have to prep for against this team. That's what's annoying.
Yeah, I think right. I think that's the difference between something like Venusaur and a Sunsetter, right? You know, Venusaur on its own feels a little bit less threatening than like Raichu on its own. Like Raichu still feels a little bit threatening. You know, it's got Fake Out and it's got just good special attack and whatnot. So.
And the other I totally agree. And I think the other thing I wanted to say is the Pumpkin is a Pokemon that I always underestimate and undervalue. But a lot of the teams, at least in the VDL, that have drafted it, mainly Otto and Goomer are the ones that are sticking out. They always do so well with it. I think both the times you've drafted it. Wait, did Otto win with it?
He did on a second win, yeah.
Yeah, I think So in the 3 seasons of the VDL that I've been in, the Pumpkin has won 2 championships. So
yes, and so is Seeking.
Seeking has 2.
Yeah, he had Seeking on his team.
Wait,
I know.
Really?
He didn't utilize it that much, but I think we both probably didn't utilize it as much, but it was on our teams.
Seriously, dude. Well, Massachusetts Manatees, you better make that Seeking worth it. It's a top mon.
Better step it up.
Step it up. Yeah, but I don't know. Pumpkin's good luck, so we'll see what happens after, week 4 for this team. Number 2, there's only 2 teams left. Who's it gonna be? Number 2 is the Old English Ice Cube. I keep saying this every week as well. I just think this team has been underrated. I thought it was week 0 power rankings. This team was 20th. It was 20th.
Yeah, I don't. Well, okay. To be fair, they didn't have the Togedemaru, which I think is a huge bonus on their team, having that Togedemaru. And they didn't have Fake Out, so I think that was maybe people didn't like that. But.
Now, what I will say is they don't have Tailwind, right? Because I don't think Skarmory gets Tailwind.
Right.
And they do have Trick Room, but it's on Cresselia, which is actually quite fast. And then they don't have like the best Trick Room mode. Like their Trick Room mons are bulky, stally mons, not offensive mons. So, I mean, I guess you could argue Primarina is one, but it's really not compared to a lot of the other Trick Room sweepers.
But
so
you do have Excelgor who's super fast, and you have Blaziken who gets speed boost. So
yes, you have other ways of speed control, but I think Tailwind and Trick Room are not something that's a strength of this team. That being said, I think this team's extra scary, and I forget who brought it up. Maybe it was Otto, that this team has a lot of bulk. Like if you got to prep for Skarmory stall, you got to prep for Cresselia. That thing is a freaking beefcake, like you were saying. Credilli's always scary to stall with the Leech Seeds, and then at the same time the Toxapex. And while you're prepping for all those stall end game kind of win condition mons, you got to prep for the hyper offense of a Blaziken, a Primarina, an Intimidate
Moxie
Crocodile,
Croak.
or a Moxie Crook, and then you have an annoying Togedemaru in your face that's smiling at you. You know you're just gonna get faked out. You hate it. And the Excelgor can be super fast and be supportive. Same with the Galvantula. I think it's a really well-rounded team, and like the more I keep staring at it, just the better I expect this team to do in them. And I think Gertz utilizing
Yeah.
it really well.
The funny thing is, I think a lot of these mons are singles mons. Like Skarmory, I think is better in singles. Toxapex, Blaziken, I think Galvantula maybe even. Primarina. Well, Primarina is good in both, um, but I think some of these are more singles mons, which is just funny. But this Gert's like he's a really good singles player.
I did not know that actually. Maybe he knows some secrets, some
He
single
might.
secrets.
Yeah.
Um, Anyways, Gert, you're kind of killing it. I hope you keep it up until you have to face me. Then I hope you shit the bed. Oh, this is gonna. I just looking at this team. I have no idea what I would do it against it just up front. Anyways, um, good job. You're number 2. Keep it up, Gert. Killing it. Quite the bambino. And number 1, we've got the rolled gold pretzels. They are going for the gold, and all their opponents have been rolled. They've been doing pretty well. Torn Chomp, whatever it's called. Is it Torn? No, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Tornchomp.
Or Garnatus? I don't know.
Grenades.
He's playing well. He's hasn't faced the easiest teams, but he seems like he knows what's going to do well in the matchups.
Yeah, I think Gumi's prep has been kind of carrying him. I mean, he's had good play too, but I think he's just had some really solid prep.
Wait, actually, you know what? He has had good prep, but I've actually liked Gumi's prep a lot, and that's kind of why I ranked him high. I will say, Gumi has, I think, all of the combined total wins of the people that Gumi's beat is 0.
Yes. Who did Gumi face week 1?
I think Manatans, right?
No,
Oh, he didn't.
he just faced. Oh, he faced Sableye this past week. Oh yeah, you are. That is true. It is true. I didn't think about that, but again, I don't expect those teams to end up with 0 wins. I definitely expect them to get wins.
I for sure. I agree. I totally agree. And I do think Gumi does deserve the top spot, although I know he doesn't want the pressure. And I think you could make a case for the other undefeated teams in the top 5. They're just, I don't know. I think Gumi has a hard team to prep for, and he can utilize the low tier mons. And I think the Vikavolt prep this week was just so simple but so effective. I think he pulled out a nice win against Dan. And he's not utilizing all the tools on his team, or he hasn't yet because he doesn't have to. He just has a really, really strong team, and he specifically drafted Tornadus and Garchomp because they were a nice combo, and they are a really nice combo. And like we said about the electric terrain kind of combo, and the Tapu Koko is those mons don't have to go together. They're individually very strong by themselves, but they also synergize well together. And I think that's that just plays into the strength of the team. I mean, it just the fact that you don't have to rely on combos, but you can use them in their tools that you can use. I don't know. I just think Gumi's played really well, and he deserves to be up here, I think. And he used the Sharpedo, and I like that he used the Sharpedo. Sharpedo OP. Any other thoughts about the number 1 team, Goomer?
No, I really like the combos Gumi has here, and yeah, it's waiting for that Ditto to come out.
We are all waiting for the Ditto. We're all waiting for it. I'm sure he'll bust it out eventually. But, anyways, that's the PR. That's all the rankings. We don't have a final slide, unfortunately, this week to see all the teams, so you're just going to stare at Gumi's team. But, yeah, if you don't like the rankings, well, I don't know. Too bad. Yell at Goomer.
Kill at me.
Yell at somebody. Yell at anyone. Yell at the wall. But yeah, good luck to everybody in week 4. Good luck to Otto and Matrix in their week 3 match. Everybody have a good holiday. I'm going to be visiting. Well, Goomer and I will be visiting. Probably playing some Pokemon Stadium. Just for the nostalgia's sake.
We'll bust it out.
We're going to bust it out. Bust out some old games. Going to step away from the Sword and Shield for a sec. Bust out the retro games and leap back in time. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good holiday. Any final words this week, Goomer?
No. It was fun getting to do the PR again, and good luck to everybody with their week 4 matches.
Yeah, it's good for old time's sake. Saki and Goomer doing it. Yeah, good luck everybody. That's the end.